Everyone, this is Suganthan from Zoho Survey, the product expert. Thank you one and all for joining the session. So throughout the session, you'll be on mute only, so you can't really speak. But if you have any questions in between, you can always post it on the Q&A session that will be available on your left. So we have our panels of experts available to answer all your queries. But if in case it wasn't answered, we'll cover that during the Q&A session towards the end of the session. So once again, thank you one and all for joining. So the agenda of today's webinar is to understand the potential of Zoho survey, what it could be done, like basically how you can create a survey, what are the options available in it. So the most popular options will be discussed today, and then what are the advantages that you could have with the online surveys, and then finally when data starts coming in, what are the ways to analyze it, what are the options you have beyond that. These are all the things that we'll be looking at. And one more thing would be like the enterprise setup, like how you can add users, what are the options that is available for every user. We'll be covering that as well. So towards the end, a live Q&A will be available. So the most common topics that we'll be covering today will be like logics. Logics in terms like to show hide questions, and there's way beyond that. And then what are the options that is available within the question settings itself. And then you can also reach out to your audience in the language that they understand the most, like translate surveys. And then you can also assign scores to the answer choices to maybe you want to use it like a quiz kind of software. Then yes, it's not just a survey. And then you can white label the platform. Technically, the URL of the survey, that is like when you reach out to your audience, you can host the surveys on your subdomain so that it doesn't have any relevance to a third party like Zoho from your respondent's point of view. So which adds more value and trust while they answer the survey. And what are the options to collaborate? So maybe you want to check with your colleagues or maybe with your manager, like an approval. So it could also be done with the Zoho survey. And then the options to get notified by email, like when someone answers the survey, that will also be possible. And then in terms of analytics, we'll have custom reports available so that you can create your own set of reports over there. And in terms of open-end questions, we give you a few options, that is to analyze the data in a quick glance, something like text analysis. And then the user management parts, like what are the options that is available across each users and how we can give them the right roles and permissions. And then the audit logs is something like it gives you a track about the changes that have been made by every single user in your account. And of course, the ways to distribute the surveys. That's all we'll be covering during this session for today. All right, let's jump into each of these options. So why should you actually set up a logic? So a logic is something that is really important to keep the survey interactful, like for the audience to make sure that the follow-up questions come up really well based upon their answers. That is like if someone says like, are you satisfied with the service? If they choose no, then it doesn't make sense to ask like, how satisfied are you? So I mean, what are the things that really made you happy? Because they were not satisfied. So you can have a follow-up question like, hey, sorry, please let us know what we could do to improve. So these are the questions that you will have throughout the survey, but few questions may not be appropriate depending on the mood that they have to answer the survey. So that is very relevant. And then you can also show or hide pages. It's not just about questions. So within surveys, you can have multiple pages available to make sure that the pages that is relevant to their category will only be displayed and they don't look into the rest of the pages. And if in case you're looking to do some extensive market research, then you would be very keen to cater the demographics that you need. Maybe you're looking to target the gender female who is between 18 and 28 for reference. then it doesn't make sense to capture any other information from any other target audience. So you can ask for questions related to that, and if they don't belong to that category, you can directly disqualify them rather than making them answer the whole set of questions available in a survey, which is a garbage data for you. So these are something which cannot be achieved with your traditional paper pen method surveys. So that's where the online surveys stand out. And these are some of the key components that could be really utilized to build the survey that you need. All right. So in terms of translations, we support like more than 130 languages. So the languages which are more popular or which has higher population, we support most of them. If we talk about the regional languages, yes, we also offer that from India, as well as some regional languages from other countries as well. So that is also targetable. So it's not meant to be like not every single member will be a English speaking person. So in order to make them comfortable and give you a feedback out of it, it's better to reach out to the language in which they are more comfortable with. So with in terms of adding scores, it's like maybe you have hundreds of questions in your survey form, but it could be really difficult for you to analyze whether what kind of answers they have given. Maybe it's like a yes or no for reference. If they choose yes, maybe that could be the right answer, and for some questions, no could be the right answer. So instead of determining or checking the data manually for every single question for all your respondents, what you can actually do is you can set up scores to the answer choice. And then with the help of total score, maybe if the total score that the audience have got is more than 75%, then on that case, you can determine them as a pass, or maybe they cleared that, or the data that you have got is something more relevant for you. So you can easily filter out the data based on the scoring as well to make sure you get the most out of it. And then we also support like variables, whereas you can pass some data along with the URL, so that it has been captured on the backend and it's been displayed on the reports, rather than asking for the data from the audience itself when you already know those informations. Maybe you're targeting the audience from China for reference, and you know that you are targeting them via email or maybe via social media, only specific to the China demographics. Now, you also have a plan to come up to reach out to the audience in the United States. So, on that case, what you can do is you can have the same link, but pass the variable like country is equal to China and other variable as country is equal to United States, to make sure that you get the overall statistics in the backend, like, okay, these number of responses that you got from each of the countries can be done. So with the help of variables, it's technically to pass some informations that is not being required to be asked or not to be shown to the audience within the survey form, but still want to capture those and analyze it for further analysis in the backend of the reporting. So yes, as mentioned earlier, like subdomains could be possible. So you can reach out to the audience in the URL of your company's domain, rather than having a generic domain like survey.zoho.com or something of its kind. And yes, when someone responds to the survey, you can always get notified via email, so that you never miss out an update. Like, maybe someone answered it or they haven't answered. You don't need to log in into every single time to check for the data. Rather than, you can get this notified via email, or you can also download the Zoho Survey application on your mobile device. It's available on both Android and iOS. So you can directly just check for the data within the reports on your mobile device itself. So what are the advanced settings that we offer? So in terms of settings, when we talk about surveys, it's good to have an introduction to it to help your respondents understand the purpose of the survey. This is more relevant, and it would be helpful to basically set an expectation towards your audience that what they are going to look into further on the following pages. And if there's something specific, like these are the conditions that needs to be matched, then you can set up those conditions under the terms and condition pages as well, to make sure that only upon they agree, they'll be proceeded to take it forward. So this covers the legal aspects as well, if there's something very sensitive that like you're going to take the ownership of it, something like of its kind, you can use the terms and conditions as well. So the surveys are answered, but once it's answered, what are the things that is available is what needs to be displayed. So maybe you want to thank them with a simple message, or depending on the answer choice, you want to thank them or say like maybe we'll get back to you. All these conditions could be set once they answer the survey. So what exact content needs to be displayed can also be determined over here. All right. Moving forward, what are the ways to distribute the surveys to your audience? So there are many options available. So basically, we give you a link to the survey. Anyone who's going to access that link, they'll be able to leave a feedback for you. So you can share that link using any tool of your choice. Uh, Whereas we also give you the option to trigger out surveys via email within our platform, where you can upload the list of contacts and distribute it to them in a single click. Or you can also reach out to SMS, but that requires a paid subscription with any one of these three tools. That is like Clickitel, SMS Magic, or Twilio. So if you have a paid subscription with them, then depending on your subscription levels, you can trigger out as many SMSs as possible directly from Zoho Survey through that channel. We directly integrate with them. And it's not limited to just feedbacks, it's way beyond that. You can do any kind of surveys in our tool, which I'll be covering that during the live demo. But we also support research panels. That is like if you don't have the right audience, or maybe you're running out of time to capture some data, you can always bet on the research panel that is available on Zoho Survey. That is to basically that will give you the option to determine like who is your target audience, which country they need to be, which designation or what occupation they need to be, and few more details. So based on all these categories you can set, but if there's something that is not available, not a problem, you can always set screening questions as part of your survey question to make sure that those categories are also being filtered out and carried forward to match your conditions. And you can also embed the surveys on your websites, or maybe you want to embed a question of the survey as part of your email. That can also be done. In terms of reporting functionalities, we give you a graphical representation of all the close-in questions. So we give you the charts in like a graph, I mean, the pie charts, the bar chart, the arc chart, and we give you that options. Like you can choose anything that you're more comfortable with. And not just about the charts, it also gives you the statistics below that, like what percentage of people chose a specific option. So that, and what are the number of response that you got against each of these options as well will be determined. And then all the charts, the colors, the palettes, everything is fully customizable over there. And then you can obviously export those data into the required formats. We support like PDF, CSV, SPSS, XLSX, or maybe you want it in a Tableau extract. Yes, everything we do offer. And in terms of integration setups, we also integrate with Google Sheets for reference, so that you can also directly integrate with your Google Sheet, where any response that comes in, it almost goes to your Google Sheet in real time. So in terms of the enterprise setup, we give you a few options. So that is like basically you can create multiple departments within your accounts, one for sales, one for HR, one for accounts, and so on. So depending on the purpose, maybe you want to have a single user license, I mean, a single key account under your organization. But whereas the purpose of doing surveys for each of them could vary. Maybe the HR is more targeting to do 360-degree feedback surveys for the reviews, or maybe they're looking to understand the employee engagements within the organizations. The HR can take care of it. The sales team can reach out to the customers to do the customer satisfaction. The marketing team could do the market research. The accounts could be more relevant to the financial aspects, or maybe the compliance team is looking to do uh, a quiz kind of thing to make sure that all the employees in organizations are up to date in terms of the key aspects that's been set in terms of the metrics. So different purposes could be done for each of the department. And the beauty of it is, as a super admin, one will have the overall authority to view or access surveys across all the departments, but whereas the members added in each of those departments will only have access to that department, and in fact they will not have any clue about what other departments are available in that account. So when a user logs in from their email, it's just the surveys that they create, or maybe the surveys that's been created by other members in the same department can be viewed depending on the roles and permissions. Right, it's time for a live demo. So I'll show you what you can do with Zoho Survey and take it forward. So when you log in or sign up with Zoho Survey, this could be the very first page that you may see when you're new to our platform. So it gives you the categories that is available. So you can utilize this for as many categories as you see on the screen. And depending on these categories, you can choose one. But if there isn't something over here, no problem, you can create one right from the scratch. So when we talk about surveys, it's a one-stop solution to build your own customized surveys. You name it, it could be done with our platform. So in terms of creating the survey, we give a few options. One is to create a new survey right from the scratch. The other options are to import a survey. That is like if you already have your questions available in a Word document, you can directly upload it over here. So you just need to follow these conditions over here to set your questions in a Word document. So if it's going to be something like this, it is going to automatically turn out to be like this. And of course, if there's something wrong or maybe the system took it in other question type, you can always change or make changes to it manually by editing it. Or use a simple quick editor mode, just copy paste the content and we turn it out into a question. The other options are like to choose from templates. We have various templates available that's on your left. So you can just look for one that is more relevant for you. And if there's something available, you can just look for it and further modify the questions to your taste by clicking on select, give it a name, and you'll be good to go. Since it's a live demo and webinar, I'll start with a new survey. So what you can actually do is you can give it a name. The name of the survey, let me name it as customer satisfaction survey, and click on create. And this is where you're going to be landed on the editor, where you have the questions available on the left. Now, these are all the questions that is available. So we have like 30 different types of questions to choose from. And when we talk about a survey, it's good to have an introduction to it to help your respondents understand the purpose of the survey. So to add an introduction, get into the settings and choose introduction page and configure it. You can have the title something like this: welcome. Please take a few minutes to help us understand where we stand. You can also include images, or maybe you want to embed a video as part of your introduction. It can also be done, and click on save. Post this, you can also add terms and conditions if it's something more relevant. But for now, I'm not adding, but this is where you can also add the terms and conditions. Coming back to the editor, where we're going to start adding the questions. So in order to add a question, all you need to do is choose the right question type over here. Just drag and drop it. For reference, let me start with a rating scale and frame the question like, how satisfied are you with our product or a service? It's up to you, depending on the circumstances. So the scales could be determined from 0 to 5, 1 to 5, or 1 to 10, or 0 to 10. It's up to you. Even you can have it in between like 8. It's up to you. What I would highly recommend is to just stick to 5 if possible. A reason behind that is when someone is trying to answer the survey from a mobile device, then they will have a scroll bar to scroll it to the right to choose the 10th option or the rating scale of 10. But if in case they miss to see that scroll bar, they may consider that 5 is being the highest rating, even if they intend to give you a positive rating, but the reports may be affected considering that, oh, they were not happy with the service just because they just gave you a 5. The overall average may come down. So stick to 1 to 5 if possible. And this is a rating scale, And maybe you don't want this as numbers. You can also have the representation in other formats like smileys, and click on confirm. All right. So below that, maybe I'll use a multiple choice question. What did you like the most about the experience? And the answer choices, you can write it down one below the other. So I'll have it like product design, features, value for money, maybe the customer support. Yeah, and click on save. So this is a multiple choice one answer which comes up with the radio button. But if in case you want to frame it in a way like what did you like the most about the experience, instead of that, what are the things that you liked about the experience instead of most, you can give them the option to choose more than one option. For that, instead of one answer, you can have it like multiple choice many answer. So it comes up with a checkbox where they'll be able to select more than one choice as part of the answer. In fact, you can even force them to answer it by marking this question as mandatory so that they don't skip this question. But once it's marked as mandatory, you get one more additional option, that is the required number of choices. Maybe if it's like at least one choice need to be made, that is by default. But if in case you want them to select at least two, then you can also set that. But the problem with that is you're not letting them know that they have to choose at least two options as part of the question. But if you don't want to specify, but still give them some knowledge about that, what you can do is when people accidentally choose just one option and they go proceed further, what happens is they'll not be able to go to the next page or submit the survey. It will just come up with a message like this question is mandatory. But as a respondent, they'll be confused like they have already answered the survey. So to avoid that, what you can do is please select at least two answer choices. So you have to keep the error message very clear to make sure that they answer it. Now, is that all that's required? Uh, what I would say is give them a hint to let them know that two choices are required. If you don't want to include that as part of your question, maybe you can enable the question hint that will be available under the advanced options, and have this context available under hint, and click on save. So if I give you a quick preview, this is the first page, that's the introduction, and this is the questions that we have. And you see a small icon over here. This is the hint where they can select and look into the hints if required. So if there's something like you are adding hints, what I would recommend is not everyone is going to click on that to see what it is. So add a section as part of your introduction stating that you'll have a symbol like that where you can click on it to take a hint about the question. So it's better to educate the customers or your clients or your employees that what you're trying to say as part of your introduction or what needs to be noticed while answering the survey. That is something what you can include as part of your introduction. All right, moving forward, if you'd like to have a question where would they recommend your service or your product to their friends or family, you can use the NPS question. So the NPS question is something like it's a net promoter score, which has a default value of 0 to 10. Every questions that you see in a form will have its own purpose behind that. So the NPS is like it's a standard or it's a universal standard to understand the pulse of a service or a market or a product. Sorry. So depending on the NPS score, it will give you the range that these many customers were happy and these many customers were not happy or neutral. So it's predetermined over there. So you can frame your questions over here, something like how likely are you going to recommend us to your friend or colleague. So you can frame that accordingly. And zero being most unlikely, excellent. You can have any content. I mean, this is just for my reference. So it will be like this, or maybe you want to give them like what is the range to get better insights out of it. Maybe you can have it colors to let them know that okay, these are the positives, negatives, and neutral. That's how you can also let them know. And what if in case someone gives you a negative rating out of this, you can have an open-end question just below that using a long answer. Like, please let us know how we could improve. So we have added a question just below that. And this question needs to come only for a negative rating, that is 0 to 6. In order to do that, get into this question, choose display logic on the top and add a condition. That is, display this question only for certain condition is met. Now the condition is, how likely are you going to recommend us to your friend? If the value gets somewhere less than 7, that is 0 to 6, then I'll have this question being displayed. So this is just for your reference, a symbol that's been added. Whereas if you look into the preview, you don't see that question by default. Only for a negative rating, you're going to come up with this question. It's as simple as that. So you can utilize the logics in this way to show or hide question to make sure that you get the feedback when someone is not happy towards it. And you need to mark the question as mandatory if you want to force them. So if it's marked mandatory, you'll see this red asterisk symbol available on the left to each of the questions. So as simple as that, you can have any number of questions added in your survey without any limitations on all the paid plans. And if in case your usage is very limited, maybe you're targeting less number of responses and less number of questions, you can stick with the free plan as well, which supports up to 10 questions in a survey form. All right, moving forward under settings, you can add a header that is like a logo. So you can drop the images from your system directly over here, or maybe as a URL, you can get it done. So any image that add as part of the survey, that will be added to the logo over here. So customer satisfaction survey is the name that it's for my reference, like for what purpose I've created. But if you'd like to have your brand over there, you can type your brand. So I'll have Zoho for now. And similarly, like on photo, you can have some custom messages like powered by surveys. And then under preferences, you can enable page progress bar where you're going to have multiple pages towards your survey, which helps in understanding like how many pages are left rather than leaving it in between. Please make sure you enable this if you're going to have more than 2 or 3 pages in your survey form, so that you can avoid people leaving your survey in between. And you can also enable captcha to avoid bots answering your survey. If you're looking to post the surveys on social medias, this will be helpful. So under languages, we have the option to translate the surveys into multiple languages. So you can just select the language that you move or the language that you want to do. For reference, Arabic is something which has alignment from right to left, not like a traditional left to right. So in order to do that, you can translate it. We give you a few options. One is to use a Google Translate, or editor is something where you manually make changes to it by typing the content. Or but you don't want to rely on Google, neither you know how to compose it in the required language. What you can do is you can download the source in a spreadsheet and share that sheet with the translator. So they will have the option to translate the content back to Arabic or any other languages as per your need. And once they're done, you'll be able to upload it back over here, so that the content is being translated. But for now, I'll use Google Translate and translate the content. So once it's translated, I can still edit the content. If maybe I know about this language, I can check for the grammatical errors. If there's anything, I can make changes to it manually and click on update. So you can translate the surveys into multiple languages as well. There's no limitations on the number of languages that you can translate. You can keep translating it. And the audience, when they open the survey, if you have translated now, let's say the survey has been translated into Arabic and Hindi. So if my browser native language has been set to Arabic, the survey is going to automatically open up in Arabic for them. and they'll still have the option to choose other languages if they want to. Whereas if not, then they'll have the option to select the language that they are more comfortable with. As simple as that. All right, moving forward, the end page of the survey, like what would you like to display when someone completes the survey? You can have your own customized message over here, or maybe you want them to be redirected to your website. You can put the URL, or maybe you want them to take another survey, put the second survey URL over here. Or if you want to show their own response once they answer it, you can do this as well. Or the overall response, like, okay, these are the overall statistics that's been received till date, but it is not going to reveal any personal informations. Maybe you're asking like the name, email, phone number. Those details will not be displayed. It's just to give a graphical representation as part of the summary of responses. Now these are all predefined. If in case you want to, let's say, like if you want to redirect them to your Google review page only when they are satisfied with the uh, service, on that case what you can do is add a logic over here. And if the question is like, how likely are you going to recommend us, or maybe how satisfied are you with the product? If someone gives you a value greater than 3, that is 4 and 5, only for them I'll redirect them to my Google reviews, because I don't want to spoil my reputation on public forums, to make sure that I don't get any negative reviews out of that. So you can have different messages available. So if that condition matches, they're going to go to that redirect of Google reviews. Or if not, you can have a different message like, sorry, our team will get in touch with you within so and so hours, so that we'll try to fix the issue that you have with us. So these are some ways that you can get it done with online surveys. And then you can go to themes, where you can fully customize the way the survey looks like. For reference, if I'm going to apply a simple theme over here, I can further modify it to my taste. Right from the colors, the background, maybe you want to add some patterns to it, or you want to add an image as part of the background, that can also be done. Including the color palettes, everything is fully customizable over here. Next comes the header, where the yellow section is. You can change some colors, or maybe you want to add some images. You can also get it done. And then the body of the survey, where you will have the survey questions. So you can play between the spacing between the questions, the font size, everything. For both the questions, for the answers, you can get it done. And then the footer, where you'll have like powered by surveys, you can add some colors to it as well. So if there's some specific color that you're looking at that needs to be matched with your website, get the red, green, and blue value from your design team and enter those values over here, and you'll get that color available, and click on OK, so that you will be able to match the exact color that you're looking at. And if in case you want to merge the background with the survey form, come back to the general. So that will be more appropriate when you have the images added as part of your background. So it is going to merge along with it. And click on save and apply, give it a name, and click on save. So once you save this theme, that will be added under my themes. So you don't need to create this theme every single time for your future set of surveys. Post the themes, you can go to the launch and publish your survey. By publishing it, we are going to give a unique link towards it. Anyone who's going to access this link, they'll be able to leave a feedback for you. So if you see the URL of the survey, it's like survey.zohopublic.com with some parameters. Instead, you can host it on like your domain. If it's like xyz.com, you can host it on survey.xyz.com to make sure that there's no relevance to Zoho in it. And we also give you the QR codes. So anyone who's going to scan this QR code, they'll be redirected to the survey. So what we recommend is, if you're shipping your products to your customers, try to have this QR code on the packaging, or maybe as a brochure, something within the product, so that you're most likely to get a feedback out of it when the product is way too good or the product is way too bad. Some way or the other, they are going to let you know their frustrations or their happiness towards it. Whatever it is a win-win situation for you to help to basically understand the mentality of your customers and try to fix it if something is not working. But if something is really working out, you can further bet on it to improve the sales, to see that these are things that have really clicked, and you can really go big on this to make sure you target all your audience on that category. We also have inbuilt email tools where you can just create your email body over here, edit the message. Everything is fully customizable over here. Maybe you want to address them like dear. Use the insert variable option like the first name, the last name, and all. And you can also remove the branding of Zoho Survey. So if you wonder like where do I get the first name, last name automatically, it's you who's going to give us the data regarding the name and email of each of your audience. So how you need to configure it is open a spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet, have email address as header on the first column, that is on A column, phone number on B column, first name on C, last name on D, and any additional details you know about them, you can add it on E to the J column or F column. I'm sorry. Till the 10th column, you'll be able to add the additional informations. So that is like maybe which region they are from, what product did they purchase you from you, or what service did they avail from you, who was the account manager. So any details you know about them, you can keep adding them over here. The reason behind that is you will be able to capture all these informations when they reply to your survey form in the analytics of your reports, so that you don't need to really ask for these informations to your customers, where people tend to ignore surveys to share a feedback. When you have limited number of questions, you're more likely to get more number of responses. Of course, it's not applicable to all surveys, but very specific to customer satisfaction, have minimum number of questions. So if in case you're not using this inbuilt email tool, you're going to use any other email tool, then by default, all these data cannot be captured. So you need to ask for those informations in the form. All right. So once you start adding this information, so you can add, let's say you want to send it out to 500 employees or 500 customers. You can add all the informations about your employees or your customers one below the other in the same sheet. So in a single sheet, we support up to 1,000 entries. So if you're targeting to reach out to 2,000 people, please split your sheet into two and then upload it one by one manually over here. And the options are like to send it out to the audience on a specific date and time where it needs to be sent. It will be done. It's not just limited to that. You can also set up reminder emails because we have the option to identify who has answered and who has not answered, so that I mean, the system will be able to trigger out the reminder emails to make sure that more number of responses have been received towards your survey form. And you can also trigger the surveys by SMS. So you can create SMS over here. And so you have to basically go to the apps and services that is available under the profile, click on the manage portal over here. So you can go to the apps and services. If you have the paid subscription with any of the three, that is Clickatel, Twilio, or SMS Magic, and directly click on connect and integrate with your third-party SMS tool. And once it's done, you'll be able to do that. All right. Coming back to the survey. So let's say that the survey has been launched and people are starting to answer your survey. So I'll just open a sample report for you. So once people start answering the survey, all the data will come back to the reporting structure. So under reports, we give you two options. One is summary of responses. The other would be the individual responses. Under individual, you'll get to know the IP address of the respondent, like when did they answer the survey, how much time did they take, followed by all the answers towards it, one below the other. And you can check for the data manually one by one over here. So if you don't mark a question as mandatory, they may also skip the question. So that's what happens. And you can export all this data into a spreadsheet, PDF, zip file, or a CSV, SPSS, and so on. Whereas with the summary of responses, you'll get to know how many people clicked on your link. Out of those, how many have answered your surveys, followed by the overall statistics like overall NPS. Now, this is applicable when you have multiple NPS questions on your survey form. It gives you overall NPS and customer satisfaction scores as well. So we give you these metrics by default, depending on the types of questions that you use in your survey form. And when you just scroll down a little bit more, you'll get an individual statistics of every single question type. So if you want, you can customize the charts that you're looking at, including the colors. Everything is doable. Like the labels, you can choose a color palette over here, or maybe you want to change a specific color for a specific choice. That can also be done, something like this. So and you'll have the statistics just below that. Now these graph stats are applicable for all the questions, or sorry, for all the close-in questions. Whereas if you have an open-end question asking for a feedback or something using a long answer, then we give you the sentimental analysis as well to determine the tone of the response. So 75% were towards a positive, 25% were on neutral note, whereas you also have a negative note towards it. So the question is like, we are glad to hear that. Please let us know what made your experience great. This is a hospitality related survey. So on this case, you can have a quick insights like the service was really good, the ambience was better, the food taste good. So uh, instead of looking into the data manually for all 100 responses, it gives you a quick insight about what are the key terms that's been used and the number of counts against each of these choices. So that's the advantage of having an open-end question with a long answer, where you take quick insights out of it. And of course, you can export all these data into a spreadsheet or a PDF. Maybe you want to do it like a presentation or something. You can also export an individual question as well, not just the overall thing. We give you all these flexibilities over here. Beyond that, you can also create filters out of it. So maybe you want to narrow down the data on a specific category or something. So what made you choose us? If someone selects the option like reasonable rates, so you just want to narrow down the people who were given that option. So we got 8 responses towards the specific option. And what is the overall answer to the entire survey? You can look into that over here. So you can narrow down the data depending on certain categories as well, or you can create a custom report. Maybe you have many questions, but you're very specific to look into the data of few questions alone. Just check those questions, uncheck the remaining, and create a filter to just look into those data. And if you're looking to share these data with your colleagues or someone, you can just give it a name, and to whom it needs to be shared, you can just enter the email over here. They will get a copy of your report. And maybe you want to do it like uh, put it on your website or something. Just click on public, and we give you the HTML embed link, so you can just add it on your website, so where they click on it and view the overall data on a real time. And this will be a public link. That's it. So that's all about the reporting. Now let's jump into the enterprise setup. So under enterprise, we give you the options to create a department. That is, you want to create folders within your account. You can create department over here and add users over here manually one by one. So what are the roles that is available? So department admin is one who will manage the entire department. They'll have the access or permission to add or remove users into the department. Whereas a user is someone who can come into the account, look into the surveys created by other members in the survey department, or they want to create a survey, they can also do that. Whereas a contractor will only able to see the surveys that's being created by themselves, or they can create a new survey, but they'll have no access to any other surveys. I mean, it will not even be visible for them. Whereas a report viewer is someone like they will have access to all the surveys in the department, but they can only access the reports, not modify the surveys to the taste. So you can create multiple departments. You can have multiple users added to the account by default. And in terms of audit logs, it will give you the stats like what kind of changes were made to the survey at what particular time by who. So all these data will be available for the past 180 days, that is 6 months of period, so that you'll have better understanding like who did what. So if there's something wrong, or maybe if any kind of changes were made without your authority or your knowledge, you can quickly check who did what and you can rectify the issue to make sure that nothing went wrong. So these are all the options that is basically available. Of course, there are many more in terms of integrations capabilities. So you can try using this on your end and see how it works for you. And if there's anything very specific, I mean, um, what to say, like if there's something more relevant for you that uh, is that you're stuck somewhere or you need some assistance, you can get it done as well. I'll just come here. So please leave your questions on the Q&A. So we'll try to answer all your questions that is possible. And if there's anything else, or maybe you want to book a one-on-one demo, you can always write to us on sales@zohosurvey.com. We'd be glad to be of help. I see all the questions have been answered, so there's nothing much left to be done. So if there's anything specific, please write to us. I see one have raised the hand, but I'm sorry, you'll be on mute only. You can't really speak. So you can either leave your question on the Q&A session or write to us by email. Maybe we'll set up a call to take it forward for you. If you like this webinar and the presentation, please react to this, maybe like a thumbs up, or maybe you're not happy. You can also mention that so that we better understand where we stand, so that we can continuously improve our overall content and its quality in our future webinars as well. Thanks for the reaction. Thank you one and all for joining this webinar. I hope it was helpful, and you'll get a recording of this in a couple of days' time so that you can also use it as a reference towards the surveys that you create. All right. Thank you once again for your time. Have a great day, and bye-bye.